book of the Nine Gates of the Kingdom of Shadows?
The Nine Gates. An interesting work. Everyone's been asking me about it lately.
Before he became a box office magnate, with the release of the pirate movies, Johnny Depp had an interesting career. From his break in Nightmare on Elm Street to the 90s collaboration with Tim Burton on Edward Scissorhands, Ed Wood, and Sleepy Hollow, alongside weird and wacky movies like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas or Crybaby. Some did well, others have failed, but when the millennium ticked over, he agreed to join forces with Hollywood's most notorious directors and create a movie about a book written by Lucifer himself. But is the movie any good? Let's find out. I'm Mephisto. Like, share, and subscribe because this is my review of the movie, The Ninth Gate.
Are you a religious man, Mr. Corso? I mean, do you believe in the supernatural?
I believe in my percentage.
The Ninth Gate is a neo-noir thriller directed and produced by Roman Polanski and co-written by him, John Brown Jones, and Enrique Urbizo. The film was an international co-production spanning the US, Portugal, Spain, and France. The screenplay itself is loosely based on the novel The Club Dumas by author Arturo Perez Reverte. Now, before we go on, let me address one thing. Polanski is still wanted by the US for charges involving a minor. It is a complicated story, and it is a very nasty one. If you're boycotting anything this man touches, I won't be upset. All I can say is I try to separate the art from the artist, and Polanski directed quite a few movies that I absolutely love. So let's get on with the actual review.
Unscrupulous! Thoroughly unscrupulous!
The story of the film tells the tale of Dean Corso, a book dealer that is known for having dubious practices, but can get the job done for his clients.
Hello, Whitkin.
You didn't waste much time.
Listen, there's a small fortune in there. Help yourself.
You're a vulture, Corso. A vulture.
Who isn't in our business?
He is commissioned by a collector called Boris Balkan to authenticate a book he acquired called The Ninth Gate of the Kingdom of Shadows. The book is allegedly used to summon the devil, and its author, Aristide de Tocquia, was even burned at the stake for heresy.
I'm convinced only one is authentic. I want to know which.
That could be an expensive trip.
That's to get you started.
Balkan insists there are only 3 copies left in the world, and he wants to know if his one is the one true copy that can perform the summoning. The commission sends Corso on a wild goose chase to pinpoint the true origins of the book, and as he goes down the path, he realizes that he is in over his head in a tug of war between the super wealthy that will do anything to protect their investment and make sure that their copy is the one true book of the devil.
Come to think of it, I'm not even sure I trust you.
You know I wouldn't screw you unless there was a good reason. Money, women, business.
One of my favorite kinds of stories to watch is a detective story, but I'm also partial for some adventure, and this is why I love the character of Indiana Jones so much. The character of Corso is hardly the swashbuckling hero of Dr. Jones, quite the opposite. Dean Corso is a cowardly snake, but he is not dumb. He is well read and can properly research and deduct reasoning as he takes this trip around Europe, gathering information from each point to make everything make sense.
What are you looking for, Mr. Corso?
I'm not quite sure.
Some books are dangerous, not to be opened with impunity.
And despite his broad experience, he seems to be very naive while on this quest of sorts. He does not share the belief about this cursed book, or even in the fact that it was written by Lucifer himself, guiding the pen of the author. But on this trip, he encounters things that he cannot explain. We, as the audience, know just as much as Corso does, so every twist and every turn that he gets, we are here with him.
This one could be interpreted as a warning. Venture too far, it seems to say, and danger will descend on you from above.
Johnny Depp is a supremely versatile actor. If you only know him as Captain Jack, you are in for a shock. But I've been following this man in the movies for many years. But still, the character of Dean Corso is something unique. He leans on the fact that this character is a non-confrontational one. He projects Corso's intelligence and naivete all throughout the movie, even when he is fully aware of the type of forces at play.
Corso.
Strange name.
Italian, it means run.
You don't look like a runner to me.
Depp sells you on this unassuming book detective and the lack of respect he has for the content of this amazing book. And this is despite all the warnings from the owners and previous owners of the book. This is another subtle but great performance by Depp, and I enjoyed it a lot.
He wants me to compare it with the other 2 surviving copies, which are in Portugal and France. So, I'm off to Europe.
Playing opposite Depp is Emmanuelle Seigner, who plays this mysterious woman who keeps popping up wherever Corso is going to, and this is across several countries, only to reveal her identity further down the line to become a part of Corso's quest to find everything he needs about this book. And if you know anything about Seigner, you'll know that this is a perfect casting. She always shines in characters that are mysterious, but this movie has a little bit of a twist on her character. Her sexiness, coupled with how strangely she behaves, kind of reminded me of another role of hers in Bitter Moon. Partly sexy, partly scary, but her presence in that character pushes Corso along this trail and keeps him in check, mostly because she is the fearless one.
You said you were a student.
Did I? So I am. In a way. I like books. Do you?
But I will also mention the performances of two other characters in this movie. Frank Langella, who plays Boris Bolkin, and Lena Olin playing Mrs. Telfer. They embodied that super wealthy with that tug of war I was talking about, trying to figure out all about this book and its secrets.
I have the utmost faith in you, Mr. Corso. There's nothing more reliable than a man whose loyalty can be bought for hard cash.
The Ninth Gate manages to take you on a ride alongside this book dealer, a job that most people didn't know even existed, and keep you on your toes waiting to hear more about this mysterious book. There are many misdirections along the way, pointing down to hell, pointing to heaven, and pointing at people who toy and play with Corso all throughout this adventure. It is a movie that I keep coming back to every so often, and I still find Easter eggs and references trying to put you on the right direction and the right path and making your own conclusions about what is happening with this book. But for some reason, this movie does not resonate with most people. I mean, it did fairly good in the box office, practically paying for itself, but there's no lasting impact. Personally, I want to see more stories with Dean Corso as this book detective in the middle of it. I probably won't get them. It would be a trip to see him walk into Ray's occult and finding a lead to some other mystery. I will highly recommend you pick up this movie to watch. It has great performances by Johnny Depp and the rest of the cast in a thriller that keeps you guessing all along the way, even after the movie ends, because you, like Corso, would like to know if this was all real. The only downsides of this movie, it is a bit too long. After watching it so many times, I can say for sure that there are spots that you could cut and it wouldn't even change the main story. The message would have still come across, but I'm being nitpicky here. It is an absolutely fantastic story that I hope more people would actually take the time and watch.
It's a myth, isn't it? A book reputed to have been written by Satan himself.
No myth. That book existed. Jokia actually acquired it.
I thank you for watching, and remember, hope is a good thing, maybe even the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. I'll see you on the next video.